Movies like this are exactly why I go to the theater. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the newest film coming from director Gareth Edwards, and that film is called The Creator. Directed by Gareth Edwards, who wrote this film alongside Chris Weitz. This film stars people like John David Washington, Madeleine, Yuna, Voyles, Gemma, Allison Chaney, Ken Watanabe, and many more. So when I think about all the movies that I have highly anticipated for 2023, The Creator, without a doubt, is one of the films that I was the most excited about. When I heard that Gareth Edwards was going to be directing some new sci-fi film and then some imagery for it started to come out, I was absolutely ecstatic. I've been a big fan of him as a director with things like 2014's Godzilla, but probably most notably and unsurprising to any of you guys, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. I really love what he did with that movie as its own individual Star Wars story that ties into the overall story of Star Wars while also doing its own thing. I just love the overall look, feel, and vibe of that film. And when I started seeing the trailers for this movie roll out, I was hooked immediately. Every time I went to the theater and the trailer for this movie played before a movie, I was instantly more and more excited to check out this movie. It was just easily one of the most anticipated films for me this year. Now, if you guys have been watching this channel for a while, then it's no surprise that things like sci-fi and fantasy are right up my alley. It's my favorite set of genres. It's easily my favorite realm to put stories within. And so again, once I started seeing the marketing for this film, whether it be the poster, which I think is super cool, the various posters they've had for this, as well as the trailer, I already knew immediately that the just visual style of this film was going to be something I loved, even if I ended up walking out of the theater maybe a little bit disappointed about the narrative. This film for me felt like a perfect blend of something like Rogue One or something even like some of Neil Blomkamp's works like District 9, Elysium, or even Chappie. I really enjoyed the overall aesthetic of this film, and just overall what I can say right out of the gate, one of the most impressive things about this film is the fact that this film was made for roughly about $80 million I've read online, which is insane when you really think about how big this movie feels. This is an epic blockbuster sci-fi action film that has heart and charm and just has this big world that they really do a lot with visually alone that I think was just impressive to look at. There's a great use of practical effects throughout the course of the film alongside some really convincing digital effects throughout the course of the film. And ultimately, when I just look at this movie and I think about other films that have come out this year that have been multi-hundred-million-dollar films, it's really incredible what they were able to pull off here with under $100 million. So just on that alone, kudos to Gareth Edwards and the rest of the team that brought this movie to life. So let's talk about what this movie's all about. When I went into it, I knew a little bit because I had seen the trailer, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I won't get too deep into spoilers, of course, because it is a newer film. The movie opens up and we're introduced to John David Washington's character, a man named Joshua, who's a sergeant. And we learn very quickly that he is kind of working undercover. We're in this world now where AI has been brought to fruition for a long time with humanity, but after a big accident that caused humanity, most notably humanity in the West, to turn against AI, now you have this giant dystopian world that's, has people hating AI, specifically again in the West. The main villains of this, without a doubt, are the American government, who are specifically honing in on a certain part of the world that still supports AI, is still creating AI, and is keeping AI as a part of their society. We see immediately that the AI in this film is 100% integrated into the world. They're part of our workforce, they're part of our policing, and they've become part of people's families. And they do a really great job immediately of you really getting to know who these AI are, in the sense of being able to understand the connection that they make with others. This isn't just a robot situation here. These AI in this film are able to have personalities, are able to be their own individuals that are truly able to be a part of people's communities and a part of people's lives. And I thought that was super cool, the way that they introduced it. I really enjoyed also the look of the AI throughout here. While it is just another robot film in a lot of ways, I thought the overall aesthetic and seeing them in human clothing and just being a part of society and the way that they would speak and kind of just being like normal people really hit the nail on the head when it came down to what this film is really talking about in a lot of ways. You know, this movie is a cautionary tale like many other AI narratives that we've seen before, but it also does a really great job of leaning into the narrative that at the end of the day, humanity is really the one destroying themselves more than anything else that can kind of be introduced like AI. And while AI is a dangerous topic and something that I think has a lot of us worried in terms of the future, this movie does a good job of kind of showing us where things could go, while also again recognizing that humanity tends to be the central problem in all of it. And so yeah, the base premise of this movie is you have Joshua, played by John David Washington, who's a sergeant who's been sent on a mission to get some sort of new technology, some sort of new weapon that the AI have that is going to destroy all of the weaponry that the humans have. And when he ends up getting there to find out what this weapon is, he ends up discovering that it's a little girl AI robot that he ends up building a bond with, and this AI is known as Alfie. Over the course of the film, he kind of has to battle this honor that he has within himself to be a sergeant and to live up to the mission, while also connecting to this young AI girl and recognizing that he's creating a bond with this AI far more than he ever had when he was dealing with AI in the past. He's a character who very easily would have looked at AI and thought, yeah, they're just robots with no feelings. You turn them on and off and that's it. But as he gets to know Alfie over the course of the film, he starts to have a change of heart, and you have this big sci-fi action blockbuster at the center of all this going on. And amidst all this, his real central goal throughout the course of this, while also dealing with this little AI, is also that he's been promised the opportunity to possibly be reunited with his wife, who he believed was dead, played by Gemma Chan. I won't say much more in terms of the premise. That's the basic idea here. Right out of the gate, again, I just really thoroughly enjoyed the world here. I really think that Gareth Edwards had a really solid vision, and I gotta give a lot of praise to him and the creative team behind the visuals of this film. I just really thought the aesthetics of this film completely were beautiful to look at. It kept me engrossed the entire time, and then I ultimately just was really captivated by the narrative around Joshua and this character Alfie. And I have to give massive kudos to the young girl who played Alfie in this film. Her name is Madeleine Yuna Voyles, I believe that's how you pronounce her name, and I was absolutely engrossed with her performance. Here's this young little girl who's giving a pretty subtle, kind of like very nuanced performance for most of the film, but also brings a lot of rich emotion. She's adorable throughout the course of the film as well, and if you look her up on IMDb, this is the first and only thing she's ever been in. And so for her to give such a really captivating performance at such a young age, I believe she filmed this film at 7, she's now 9, absolutely fantastic. I thought she did an incredible job with her performance, and I think that the chemistry between her and John David Washington throughout the course of the film I thought was really well done. Overall, I found this to be a very fun, fast-paced action epic that is a sci-fi movie that knows what it is. This isn't a movie that's slowing down to, you know, completely explain absolutely everything. There are a couple of things that do feel like it gets breezed over, maybe some things that felt unexplained. I don't necessarily think this is a perfect film narratively by any standings, but I do believe this is a film that's worth watching if you are a fan of going to see movies on the big screen. I think if you're a fan of Gareth Edwards or you're a fan of sci-fi, this is definitely a movie to check out. Overall, visually, I found this film to be, again, beautiful to look at. The cinematography, the costume design, the set design, the practical effects, the digital effects, but then you also have this really cool, fun sci-fi narrative at the center. Again, this isn't necessarily a movie that you go into for super in-depth, like deep narrative, but it is a straightforward, fast-paced action sci-fi film that I believe knows what it is, was a lot of fun to watch, was super cool, and ultimately just kept me engaged throughout the entirety of the runtime. There's been a lot of different opinions I've seen for this film already as I was leading into checking it out. I've seen some of my friends say that they absolutely loved it and it kind of agreed with where I'm sitting at. And then I saw some other people saying that they felt the narrative was a little bit hollow. I personally just found this film to be a blast. Honestly, one of my favorite films I've seen this year in theaters, and I ultimately can't wait to revisit it. So big thanks to you guys for watching. Hit that like button, comment your thoughts down below, and I'll see you beautiful people in the next one. Bye-bye.